What do you know about students with a learning difficulty in writing? A little bit? Absolutely everything? Are you one of those very many teachers in the field that actually have no idea? Well, it's okay, because today I'm going to go through it with you. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a learning difficulty in writing? Many of you may have heard of dyslexia, and even seasoned teachers confuse a learning difficulty in writing with dyslexia or believe that these two difficulties come hand in hand. While they can happen together, a learning difficulty in writing can also happen on its own. So what is a learning difficulty in writing? The first thing that comes to mind for many people is handwriting. Now, while this is an aspect of the learning difficulty, it is not the be-all and end-all of it. I could rattle off a bunch of science talk about the 3 levels of writing, neurodevelopment, neurological motivation, but that's not going to help you understand what the learning difficulty is. Most students with this learning difficulty show very simple signs, such as a difficulty holding a pencil, organizing letters on a line becomes difficult, their handwriting tends to be messy and non-fluent, they construct short, choppy, incomplete sentences, generally combined with errors in spelling, punctuation, and grammar. One of the biggest and most challenging components for a student with a learning difficulty in writing is the ability to put their thoughts on paper. Most of the time, students with this learning difficulty have an amazing idea in their head and have an excellent and imaginatively constructed sentence. But when it comes to putting it on paper, the sentence becomes simplified or incorrect. The technical term for learning difficulties in writing is dysgraphia, but you can also see it referred to as a learning difficulty with writing expression. So how does this affect a student? And what are people saying about a learning difficulty in writing? One of the most common debates that's widely found all over the internet, people are talking about it, students, teachers, parents, just the public in general, is we live in a digital age and everything is on a computer. So writing isn't that important. So does it matter if someone has a learning difficulty in writing? What do you think? Is the skills and strategies surrounding writing important? Well, let's use the digital age. Facebook, for example. How are you supposed to write a Facebook post if you can't confidently construct a sentence or haven't developed the skills and strategies of writing expression? While typing organizes the letters on a line for you and is easily legible, that doesn't really help you if you have a difficulty getting the words out of your mind and onto paper. So what do the experts say? There are very few studies about a learning difficulty in writing. Majority are focused on dysgraphia after an accident or illness that has affected the brain of an adult. Many of these adults experience the same concerns that students with a learning difficulty in writing experience. In many of these studies, they have linked dysgraphia in children with a lack of cognitive and linguistic development. The studies that directly focused on students with a learning difficulty in writing were a meta-analysis on the research on strategic instruction. So what does that mean? What does the law mean for you as a teacher? The Education Act 2006 states very clearly that the objective of the legislation is to make available to each Queensland student a high-quality education that will 1. Help maximise his or her education potential. 2. Enable him or her to become an effective and improved member of the community. 3. To provide for their participation, learning achievements during this period. The Act also states that education facilities must ensure education programs are responsive to the individual needs of the students. The Disability Discrimination Act 1992 makes it illegal to harass or discriminate against a person with a disability or their associate on the basis of disability in the areas of education. The Disability Standards for Education 2005 states that the education provider must take reasonable steps to ensure that the student is able to participate in the courses or programs provided by the educational institution and use the facilities and services provided by it on the same basis as the student without a disability and without experiencing discrimination. This means that the activities are flexible, the programs are reviewed, additional support is provided. When a program is put in place that the student can't participate, the student is offered a reasonable substitute activity. and any extracurricular activities not conducted in the classroom are designed to include the student. Signs of a learning difficulty in writing can appear in early primary, but generally aren't obvious until middle primary. The research suggests that diagnostic tests for learning difficulties should be undertaken by a trained psychologist. These tests include academic assessments and writing tests that will assess the student's fine motor skills and their product of written expression. These tests often include the student writing sentences and copying tests, but also observation of the writing process will also be assessed. The writing processes include posture, position, pencil grip, fatigue, and cramping. The psychologist and special education teacher also establish the social and emotional impact that the learning difficulty has on the student. So, some strategies to assist the student with a learning difficulty in writing. Many of the sources agree that to assist in handwriting, teachers should model letter formation while using visual cues such as number strokes and arrows. Orthographic coding activities such as singing the alphabet that reinforce letter name and shape. Burning in 2006 believed that having some non-writing activities that focus on developing fine motor skills and hand strength have benefited students by developing kinesthetic awareness of their fingers and hands, dexterity and motor planning, which can translate into improved handwriting skills. A number of studies, including McKay 2010, suggest multisensory activities such as students writing letters with their fingers in rice or sand, or making letters out of Play-Doh or clay manipulation. Majority of these studies agree that using alphabet or copying tasks to monitor the student's progress has great success. For sentence construction, Archer 2011 and Walker 2015 both agree that starting simple and gradually working to more complex sentences had the best outcomes. Their strategies included modeling simple sentences with picture word prompts and using the gradual release of responsibility.